September 11th, 2001. Been 22 years since that happened. 22 years since, honestly, to me, the most horrific day I've been alive. Um, Normally on this day, I don't really do anything. I don't really even play video games or much of anything else. I just kind of go into this place where I don't really want to talk to anybody or anything else. You know, I apologize to my friends and stuff like that. Um, it used to be these were days where I just don't want to deal with people. Just kind of sit here by myself and kind of go into a hole, you know, that I don't like going into, but it's, a couple weeks ago, somebody said it's the little foxes that turn into big problems. And sometimes those little foxes are things that you're used to doing. It's just kind of become part of what you do. And unfortunately, going into that whole few days before and the few days after had become commonplace. So this year, I wanted to do something different. You know, I wanted to actually tell that story of what September 11th, the days leading up to it, and honestly, the subsequent months after. Um, People ask that question, like, where were you on that day? Um, so let's back up a little bit. Back up to say about 1990. And I've said it before during the speed run, I grew up as an RPG player. I loved Final Fantasy series and stuff. Growing up, I did not realize that Final Fantasy was built in Japan at the time. It took a few years for me to realize that. Also, Dragon Ball Z and stuff, right? Maybe one day I'll tell that story. But anyway, when I was about 14, I was looking for what I was going to do after high school. I didn't want to do the plant circuit or anything else. I wanted to leave. I wanted to leave my home. I wanted to go off to somewhere else. I was the person at 13 who cut yards for an entire summer so that I can get enough money to fly to Japan. So, so I asked around of ways that I wanted to get to Japan. And one of the things that was brought up was joining the military. So this is the reason why the Air Force had is here. I wanted to go to Japan, so I joined America's Fighting Forces. Yeah, that's my reason. Um, it's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But so fast forward through basic, I get to Vandenberg, California, and it's 97. I join. I get to California in 99, and normally when I had enough leave days, there's 1 week in September where I normally just take leave, right? That's it was September is just that time. I'm like, you know what? I just want to take a break. I think part of it was also this is when the new RPGs start coming out. So I kind of want to binge play it and stuff like that. So 2001, I took that week of leave as I normally did. So the night before, me and one of my coworkers, you know, we went out to this club over in San Luis Obispo. And this part is important because it's going to come up later as kind of a joke. Um, I met somebody, and her and I were kicking it and stuff like that through most of the night, and da 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 da. We exchanged phone numbers and whatever. And after we get done, I go home. Yeah, me and my buddy, you know, we head back to our respective places and stuff like that. I get home. This was the 10th. Morning of the 11th, I get a call from my homeboy. Same homeboy I went to the club with. He's calling me frantically. I'm like, dude, what do you want? I'm tired. I mean, we didn't get home until like, I want to say 2:30 in the morning. I'm tired. And it's about, I want to say roughly 8:30, 9 o'clock. I forget the exact time, but it was after both towers had gotten hit. But he calls me up and he's like, dude, wake up. Wake up. You need to wake up right now. And I'm thinking, you know, is there an issue at work or whatever? Like, dude, what do you want? A plane hit the Twin Towers. Now, we prank each other all the time. And in my sleepy stupor, I thought he was joking. I thought he was trying to prank me. You know, I thought he was just trying to get some kind of a rise out of me. I'm like, whatever, dude. After I hear his what I thought was drivel, I hung up the phone. I went back to sleep. He calls me immediately, like, no, dude, I don't want to do this, but I'm pulling rank. Wake yo ass up. All right, all right, all right. Planes hit the tower, whatever. So now you've pulled rank. I need visual confirmation to make sure that you ain't pulling my leg. Because if you are and you did all this, I'm slapping you. I'm like, all right, fine. What channel? He's like, any channel. And anybody knows when something happens and you ask what channel it is and anybody says any channel. Yeah. Yeah. I normally kept my TV on either Cartoon Network or ESPN and turned on ESPN and there was the coverage and both of us were silent on the phone the entire time. And I just remember there was somebody where one of the planes was, this person was in the floors above where the plane hit. And I just remember one of them diving out of the tower. And my heart broke. You know, I think the magnitude of what happened hit me from that moment. The magnitude of the immediate thing, not the global impact, but just the immediate, like, there are a lot of people that's going to die, and some people aren't waiting for the eventual literal collapse, but people was like, the only choice that I have, I'm not waiting for it. And heart broke, you know, heart broke. But I remember my wife asking me, when did it really hit you? To be honest, it didn't, that moment only hit me on the immediate level. Like, two planes actually hit the tower. The rest of like the terrorist attack and all this other stuff like that, it didn't register past. I called into work, say, what do you need me to do? Now, going back to the grad thing, right? I called in work. They're like, nope, stay on leave for right now. We'll call you if we need you. And it was more of a staycation, so I wasn't going anywhere, right? So base is on lockdown. The girl from the club calls me in a panic. Like, are you okay? Da 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 da. I'm coming over there. Her mindset was, I'm getting ready to get on the plane, like right now. So she wanted to see me off and da 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 da. I'm like, calm down. Number one, you're not getting on base. I'm not meeting you. I'm just not. Stay home. Number one, stay home. I can't leave base to get to you. You can't come here. Stay home. Number one. Number two, this happened on the other side of the country. It happened here. Need you to relax a little bit. This was my way of saying, let's de-escalate it a little bit so you can think. I didn't try to downgrade the importance or whatever of what happened, but I was like, calm down, chill a little bit. So later on, right, I think it was after I got up, that it was the Monday after I got off of leave. And keep in mind, up until this point, up until September 11th happened, my mind was, I'm trying to go to Japan. Keep also in mind that I just re-enlisted earlier that year. Right after my re-enlistment, I dropped a dry pack transformer onto my ankle. So I was on crutches for a few weeks. So I was like, oh, great. This is how my second enlistment is going to go. Then that happens a few months later. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I was in that mode of trying to calm everybody else down. So when one guy comes into the shop and it's like, dude, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up. I didn't join the military for this. I did it to go to college. And I was like, yeah, you did. You signed up for this. This place's primary mission and whatever. And I just remember the look in his eyes, like, you serious? Like, it's like both of us knew the answer, but like actually hearing it from somebody else, he was like, okay. He didn't know what to do with it, but he knew that, yeah, you're right. I just wish I could have just paid for college and just, this is what I wanted. And terrorist decides to blow that story, blow that plan and whatever. But even then, I think this was like close to a week later, it still didn't hit me that this is what happened or the magnitude of what happened. So fast forward a few months later, this was in 2002 now. And I get orders to go to Kuwait. It's my first deployment, first time out of the country and stuff. And that's when it started percolating. That's when some of it started marinating. I remember I got pulled over by one of the base cops for speeding. And the guy that pulled me over, he saw the look on my face and he's like, don't worry, it's you were speeding. This ain't, I'm gonna drag you to jail or nothing like that. So I asked him before he started writing anything, he's like, have you ever deployed before? He's like, yeah. He's like, oh, this is your first time. And he actually put the ticket thing away. And he's like, oh, this is your first time. Yeah. I don't, I don't know what to expect. And he's like, he started talking to me. He started talking to me down. It's like, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You know, look, just consider this a warning. But what I advise you to do is where you're heading over to, go to that place, sit in the parking lot for a little while before you get in. Just sit there. Sit there and gather yourself. Okay. Calm your nerves. And I did exactly that. I had to go out to one of the office buildings and I literally just sat there. I was a little late for the appointment, but when I told them, it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So anyway, fast forward to the summer of 2002. I deploy and I kind of got my bearings after a while of what I was doing and whatnot. I think it was the first time I actually played Unreal Tournament with people. That was, in the morale tents and stuff like that. First time I played Unreal Tournament and the first time I played Civilization. That was our way of trying to de-stress and stuff like that because a lot of us were tense. So I was a bit uncoiled during that time, but then got an order saying we're getting a gang of people that are coming to this base and we need a power grid system to support it. And when my boss told us of some of the numbers that were coming in and what needed to happen and whatever, I just remember me, my boss, and another guy slowly looking at each other. And all of us said at the same time, oh shit. This is about to happen. This is legit about to happen. And I think for the rest of the time at that deployment, granted, at the time, this was only, this is when we were still doing 3-month deployments, but at the time, I went back to that day in September 11th and all of that kind of came together of what the magnitude of what that meant. I called for war. And it was about to happen. Like my attitude of military experience, why I signed up, that all hit me at the same time. Like, no, we are going to war right here, right now. And we were there. This was at the end, around the end of the 3 months. So we did a preliminary plan to pass off to the next rotation as we left. And even when I got home, when I got back to California, it was on my mind like it's about to happen. So when the first bomb started dropping, I just remembered my boss and the other guy looking at each other like, this is actually about to happen. This is actually happening right now. That drug on me for drug on me for even now thinking about it, you know. Yeah. Still that it still hits me even now thinking about it and actually voicing it. Um a lot of things throughout the rest of my experience, you know, second deployment to Iraq, um, going through what I go through there. One, I may tell that story another day, but going through what I went through there, Qatar was a different beast because I had just lost my parents and my grandfather all within a span of 2 years. So Qatar was difficult because I had too much time to think. Um, Nearly committed suicide. You know, months before I got to Qatar, all I had was time to think. In Iraq, I didn't. It was work, work, work. But that was the beginning of it. That was one of the central points as to why you'll never see me play Call of Duty. You'll never see me play it. I can't. My head's not there. Call of Duty, I tried playing Battlefield. It can't do it. But yeah, that's that's my overarching September 11th story. You know, I play a lot of Final Fantasy because at first it was just a game, but it was after a while it became a bit of escapism. FF11 was like that too. It was FF11 was serious escapism, but 14 was kind of like that. Um, WoW was kinda, but after a point in time, it just exasperated a lot of issues that I have. Um, you know, when I say I'm thankful for the people in the chat, or even during my Twitch days and now here on YouTube exclusively, when I say thank y'all, know that I truly mean that, because days like today still weigh on me. And whenever I think I am alone, I'm always reminded of, people like my wife, my dog, and y'all, you know, whether on YouTube or Instagram or whatever. It's a constant reminder that I'm not by myself, and I don't have to go back into that hole constantly. And this is a PSA to everybody: don't bury yourself into a hole by yourself and then complain that you feel alone, because you're not. Because if you bury yourself in that hole, you can't see the hands reaching out to you. And not everybody's going to understand. Of course, not everybody's going to understand. And you can't always expect them to understand. And don't put it on them. don't don't put it on them to force them to understand your pain. Everybody has their stories. everybody has their everybody has their own dragons to slay, if I may use the phrase. Um, you don't have to Hercules your way through it, but know that you don't have to do everything unsynced. You can get a party together and talk. You know, if you're a veteran who's gone through this, I go out and go talk to somebody. I have been in some version of therapy for 8 years. And I love my therapist now. And I talk quite a bit about it, but what you're hearing now is 8 years of therapy. And what you hear with like the Curtis character or the Tyrone character and stuff like that, that's 8 years of therapy. Trying to counteract nearly 20 years of military service, you know. But I implore you to, and I'm not talking just to my military folks, I'm talking families, I'm talking people, civilians, whether you've lost people or not. Trauma hits people differently, and go out and go talk to somebody. Go out, and there's no shame in doing it. You know, whatever trauma that you've had in your life, and it's not just September 11th related, but any trauma that you've had in your life, find somebody to talk to. You know, find somebody to talk to, and know that you matter. Last thing I'm gonna say before I get out of here is you do matter, right? You honestly do matter. You don't matter to anybody else. You matter to me. I want everybody to be happy. I do. I honestly want everybody to be happy. You know, I want everybody to get everything that they want. I want y'all to be able to wake up every day. It may take you longer, but I want everybody to be healthy, happy, and smile. And a friend of mine I served with, she would never let me leave a conversation unless I smiled, especially if I was having a miserable day. But it's okay to laugh. Okay to laugh to keep from crying sometimes. But that being said, this was kind of a ramble video, but appreciate y'all for listening. And I'll be back with more My Life as a Summoner and the Curtis, the Mass Effect Protocol and all this other stuff like that later on this week. But I just wanted to let y'all know that y'all matter. Y'all do matter. A lot of times y'all keep me going. So y'all keep it easy. Really do love y'all. And I will see y'all soon.